TikTok cops to running covert surveillance campaign on Western journalists. TikTok cops to running covert surveillance campaign on Western journalists. Fired employees misused their authority to obtain access to TikTok user data. Welcome to the English Language Learning Podcast. Our topic and reading for today, you can find it in the description section for the YouTube video. TikTok surveillance espiando on Western journalists. And in our headline, we have a phrasal verb. TikTok cops, COPS, to running covert surveillance campaign on Western journalists. Again, you can find the reading, pode encontrar a leitura na descrição para todos os vídeos no canal de YouTube. We will start reading now. Again, the headline, the title, TikTok cops to running covert surveillance campaign on Western journalists. Here we go. Following an internal investigation, TikTok owner ByteDance today confirmed reports from this fall that claimed some of its employees used the popular app to track multiple journalists, including 2 in the U.S. The ByteDance employees' goal? To identify anonymous sources who were leaking information to the media on the company's ties to the Chinese government, according to the New York Times. Forbes reported that multiple reporters from its own publication were part of this covert surveillance campaign. A BuzzFeed reporter and UK-based Financial Times journalist Christina Criddle were also surveilled, FT, or Financial Times reported. ByteDance employees reportedly accessed reporters' TikTok accounts to obtain IP and user data, assessing whether there was only an overlap with pings from known locations of ByteDance employees suspected of leaking. ByteDance confirmed that these tactics became so broad that the employees also monitored the data of some of the journalists' associates. So that's all we're going to read. Sounds like TikTok is admitting that, yes, we did have employees accessing TikTok accounts of Western journalists to get IP and user data and to see if they matched or combinou any of the data from ByteDance employees, right? Porque tem vazamento de informação dentro de ByteDance, dentro de TikTok, sobre as ligações com ByteDance e China, which is the topic, right? The U.S. is talking about, thinking, and contemplating banning TikTok in the country, in government buildings. So there's different propositions, and they're all related to banning TikTok because of security risks. Why? Because the company that owns TikTok is called ByteDance, and they are based in China. It's a Chinese company, and there is no function, there's no organ, there's no separation in theory between the Chinese government and anything. People, groups, churches, there's no separation. That's the thing that they don't practice in China. They don't practice secular democracy, right? They are a secular communist country. What's not republic. I mean, I know it's the People's Republic, and they do technically vote, but I don't think there is any real actual democracy in practice. But What's the difference, right? The companies in the U.S. and Europe, these are corrupt, rich corporate regimes, and why should we trust them versus the Chinese government? And that's a good question. Where the Chinese government, I would say, has different incentives than companies. Companies are supposed to want to make money. Sometimes they make big mistakes intentionally to make money, but they certainly don't have the authority of a government to do things. But we're going too fast. So other details from the article que você pode encontrar na descrição. 4 employees were fired, alegadamente. TikTok allegedly will make or take any steps, make any concessions, except selling to an American company or entity. So they'll do anything. Hey, whatever you want us to do, we will do it. But we will not sell TikTok to an American entity. We will not do that. Coming up next, all things English from the reading that you can find on the description on YouTube. TikTok. TikTok. Cops to running covert surveillance campaign on Western journalists. Cops. Not the police. Cops. The verb. The phrasal verb. To cop to something. TikTok cops to what? To spying on, to having a spy campaign on Western journalists internally. So to cop to something is to admitir, to admit, to say, you know what? Yes, actually, that is true. We did do that. We are doing that. You're not wrong. Yes, we admit it. To admit to something. Covert surveillance campaign just means a spy program, spying program. Just because we use the word spy doesn't mean it's the Chinese government. TikTok has not said anything about the Chinese government spying on journalists. It has said that they had employees and a program to spy on journalists because they were concerned or preoccupied or worried about vazamento de informação dentro de TikTok e ByteDance. E queriam encontrar quem está vazando informação sobre as ligações com TikTok e ByteDance e China. But it was not, again, to be clear, they're not saying the Chinese government is spying on people from their app. They're saying that we, TikTok, are spying on journalists. At least some of us were. We fired those people, by the way, but they were spying on journalists because they were suspicious of vazamentos, and they wanted to discover, using private data, who was vazando or leaking information. So to cop to something is to admit. Let's go to the first paragraph from the reading, from the Leitura. Following an internal investigation, TikTok owner ByteDance today confirmed reports from this fall that claim que alegan, to alegar, to claim, to say something without the assumption that it's true. Just to say it is to alegar, to claim, to allege. It's very hard for me to say alegar conjugado em português por culpa do G. And in English, we do the allege, not alleg, allege. We talked about leaking information, vazar informação, vazar, to identify anonymous sources who were leaking information to the media about the company's ties or taços. I think I said ligações earlier, but laços, not taços either, not cups. Not the company's cups to China, the company's laços or ties to China. Surveillance campaign, we mentioned this already, is a spy program. Surveillance, spy, campaign, program. pings and overlap in the same sentence. And this is the description of what exactly they were accessing. What were they doing? ByteDance employees reportedly, allegedly, accessed reporters or journalists' TikTok accounts to obtain IP and user data to determine if there was any overlap or connection with pings from known locations of ByteDance employees to see, hey, there's a journalist. Hey, this journalist had a cup of coffee in the same cafe as one of our employees. Oh no, that means maybe the employee who was in the cafe at the same time as the journalist was giving information to the journalist. That's kind of what they're talking about. That's what pings are. Think about your cell phone is communicating to torres, right? De recepção, of reception. And sometimes your phone will just give almost like a submarine, right? A doom, not an audible ding, but a ping that gives information about where your cell phone is geographically, where is it, the distance from the tower. So I think that's what they say when they're talking about pings. But I'm an English teacher. I'm not a data specialist. But overlap, one word, overlap. Connection, right? Two things happening at the same time. Connection. I'm not sure the word for that in Portuguese, actually. Sobre algo, right? Sobreimposição, I think it would be something like that. Pings, we did pings. Broad. And this is at the end of the reading. ByteDance confirmed, at least confirmou, que esses táticos virou tão amplio, so broad, or wide, or big, that the employees also estavam monitorando os dados de alguns dos jornalistas associados das jornalistas. So they're saying that the program, the campaign of spying, was actually so big, and this is from ByteDance. They confirmed this. The program became so big that employees of ByteDance, the company in China who owns TikTok, were also monitoring associates of the journalists, not just the journalists, but maybe there was a ByteDance employee that was meeting, a journalist's, editor or wife or husband or friend to pass information, to give information to the journalist without meeting the journalists. So that is all. There's no more vocab that I'm going to digest and investigate and examine. If you have any more doubts, please give them to me. Send them to me. Write them down. Email or comment. Coming up next, questions and conversation about the topic. And in the end, why does this matter at all to Brazil? TikTok cops or admits to running a spy program on Western journalists. TikTok cops to running covert surveillance campaign on Western journalists. That was the title of the reading that we read at the beginning. We did all things English, usually just vocab, and now we have questions. Let's start with a quick review, right? Again, TikTok, a company, social media company, owned by a Chinese company called ByteDance. ByteDance is in China. It's a Chinese company. What did they admit to? What did they cop to? They copped to running a spy program. Why? What was the intention? The intention was to discover leaks, vazamentos or vazadores of information from the company, and specifically about os laços, the ties or the connections to the Chinese government. So they were using private TikTok app data, and they were trying to see if there was any connection to employee TikTok app data. So again, maybe they can look at the data and see that, oh, look at this Forbes or New York Times journalist was near the TikTok building, and they were getting a beer on a Friday. Ooh, look at this! In the same bar, we have data from our TikTok app on the cell phone of one of our employees. They're in the same place at the same time, and we have a problem with vazamento de informação. So maybe this person who's in the same bar as a journalist, maybe they're vazando informação to Western media or journalist publications. So that was the idea of the article, that TikTok was admitting, yes, it's true. Look, we fired demitidos cuatro employees. So yes, you are correct. We did have a problem with spying, but we fixed it. It's done. And at the end of the article, they mentioned, we'll do anything. Hey, we want to stay in the U.S. Don't ban us. We'll do anything. Just we won't sell our company to an American entity, right? We're not going to sell you TikTok because we don't really care if TikTok stays in the U.S. We don't want to sell it, right? It's our company, and that's very American of them. They don't want to sell if they don't have a. Well, they said they don't want to sell. So if the price is right, then the American thing to do would be to sell. But we'll see what happens. This is an old article. So questions: do you use TikTok? Why or why not? You listening, do you use TikTok? Do you have it downloaded? Not do you see TikTok videos sometimes? No. Do you have the application on your phone? Se você usa TikTok, porque sim ou porque não? E não se você vê algumas vezes vídeos de TikTok em outras plataformas. Não, se você tem no seu celular mesmo o aplicativo do TikTok. I do not use TikTok. I stopped using new social media with Facebook. Facebook was for me the first new social media, because I had MySpace in 2008 in high school. Before Facebook, I had MySpace. Then comes Facebook. Oh wow, new social media. Boom. I'm going to use Facebook. I've never used more or newer social media. I do not have Instagram. I do not have Twitter. I have never had Instagram. I have never had Twitter. Snapchat. I've had Snapchat. I do not have Snapchat, present simple. I do not use Snapchat, present simple. Present perfect. I have used Snapchat, but I do not use it. So why do I not use TikTok? I don't know. Maybe I don't need that type of connection to people virtually. Is it, again, I'm talking personally. For business, I don't use them either, but it could be a bad idea to not use TikTok for business. Let me say that differently. It might be a good idea to use TikTok or Instagram for business. I do not use them, though. What about you? Have you ever been worried or preoccupied about privacy and your social media accounts? Why or why not? Do you ever think, or have you ever been worried or scared or preocupado about privacy and maybe em aplicativo escutando você falar ou mandando dados de você a uma empresas que quer ligar você todos os dias ou quer usar seus dados para mandar e-mail ou para entender mais seus hábitos, right? Or companies for elections, wanting to understand who you are and what will make you or not make you do something. So I have been worried about privacy, not so much, but for example, I will not use Amazon Alexa. I'm speaking into a microphone right now. I'm putting my voice on the internet on YouTube, but there's something that makes me uncomfortable with talking to an object like it's a human. I'm talking into a microphone. I'm not talking to a microphone. I'm talking in to a microphone. It's uncomfortable for me. I don't like that idea. But yes, I have been worried about privacy in social media. Another reason, right? Traveling. It's becoming more common now for countries and responsible parties to ask or demand social media accounts to enter a country, right? I don't like that. I don't think that's fair. I think that that could prejudicar, could harm people for political beliefs, religious beliefs, social beliefs, identity, right? Hey, you're transgender, and we're not going to let this person into the country because we don't like this type of person. Yeah, I don't like that. That does worry me. Yes. Do you think American. Let me ask that in Portuguese. Se você já alguma vez ficou preocupado sobre privacidade e os seus redes sociais e as contas de você nas redes sociais, por que sim, por que não? Do you think American social media companies, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, are also spying on or monitoring journalists throughout the world? Why or why not? Se você acha as empresas de redes sociais americanas como Facebook, Instagram, Twitter estão também espiando ou monitorando jornalistas no mundo, porque sim, porque não? Porque sim você acha isso, porque não você acha isso? Não porque eles estão fazendo ou não estão fazendo. Porque você acha sim, porque você acha não. Um, I think I think Twitter would be the the biggest, target or suspicious actor now because of Elon Musk. Elon Musk does not like journalists. He is a billionaire. I don't think any billionaire likes journalists. You have much more to lose than to gain if you are a billionaire from free uh, publishing journalists. So, yeah, I would think probably the question is, are they sharing it with the American government to spy on the journalist? That's the difference that I am noticing between what Brazilians talking about, American social media companies. Oh, eles querem ficar monopolia na indústria de tecnologia. Yeah, okay, maybe. Look, American companies are very simple. They want to expand and gain and win more every day. Okay, that's transparent. There's no one's hiding that fact. Everyone knows that. Maybe if you watch too much TV, you might think that they have morals and ethic. No, no. Forget about that. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, American companies, tech companies, they want to make money. Legally, they must try to always be making more money. So I'm not doubting that Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter would use data, private data, to make money. I'm not doubting that ByteDance or TikTok would use that data to make money. The difference between the US and China is that there is no obligation for any of those American tech companies to give information to the government. Also, there's no obligation from these companies to filter information at the request and o pedido do governo americano. The American government can't go to Twitter yet and say you need to filter out crítico do Joe Biden. Não gostamos ler críticos do Joe Biden no TikTok ou Facebook ou Instagram. Você tem que monitorar e esconder esses dados, essa informação. No, to be clear, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter could do that if they wanted to. And when I say if they wanted to, I mean if they thought it would make them money, they would, or they are. But they can't be forced to. They can't be forced to. I remember a long time ago, 5 or 6 years ago, there was a case of someone, I think it was a mass shooter in the United States. It might have been the guy who shot and killed people at University of California, Santa Barbara. It's a long time, maybe 10 years ago, maybe. I remember he had one, I don't know if it was him. One of these shooters, these killers who was dead, had an iPhone. It was locked. The U.S. government, the FBI, right, because this was a mass shooting event, the FBI investigates these events. The FBI wanted Apple to unlock the phone for them. Apple refused. They said, no, we're not doing that. Bad precedent. Not going to start unlocking users' phones for the FBI just because you ask, right? If you have a good reason to demand to do that, go to a judge, get the judge to make it official to that we must do it. And that never, I don't remember how that concluded. I think they found another way to unlock the phone, but the FBI asked Apple, a tech company, hey, can you do this thing for us? They said no. Would Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter do the same thing? Who knows? But they really can't be forced to. Not yet. Depending on future legislation and terminology, they cannot, again, American government cannot force Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter to filter out anything except the violence and illegal images of sex and violence, things like that. Could they expand that? Yeah, sure they could, but they haven't yet. Did I ask that in Portuguese? I did. In your opinion, how trustworthy is leaked information from anonymous sources? In your opinion, how trustworthy is leaked information from anonymous sources? Em sua opinião, quanto confiança você daria à informação vazada de fontes anônimos? For me, it depends on who is publishing the information. If the New York Times publishes information leaked, vazado, from an anonymous source, I'm going to give it respect. If Fox News does, no, I'm not. If Newsmax, another hyper-conservative, I think it's a TV channel now, shares anonymous sources, no. If Donald Trump tells me someone told him something about the election, no. It really depends on who is publishing the information. Why does that matter? Because if it's a journalistic entity with journalistic standards and a reputation to maintain and liability in court to protect, then they're not going to publish bad information. For example, why did I say Fox News? Fox News just settled, eles resolveu processamento contra eles de publicar informação com frequência sobre as eleições americanas do Joe Biden e Donald Trump errados, falsos. So they have admitted, not actually, but as a matter of fact, that, yeah, they did publish a lot of information that was wrong. Why did they publish it? Because alguém falou isso anônimo. That was the origin of all of the information from Donald Trump about the election being fraud and the election machines and any of the conspiracies. All of it was, yeah, someone told me. We have information, anonymous information. So it depends for me. It depends. Where am I reading the information? Do you get your news from social media? Se você recebe suas notícias de redes sociais. I do sometimes. Sometimes I'll see news, but I don't get my news from social media. I notice news. I observe news, but I don't sit on social media to look for news. And I certainly don't expect news on social media to be legitimate always. I will read a headline on social media and I will look for the headline somewhere else on another channel off of the social media network. Why do I think this matters to Brazil? Brazil is a major world economy. Brazil is in between China and the U.S., literally and figuratively. Any tool that could be used to spy or surveil the Brazilian government is, to some degree, a national security risk to Brazil's global interests. So they're talking about the U.S. and China, and the U.S. is worried about a Chinese company with no protection from the Chinese government spying on journalists, filtering information. And there's actually a report today or 2 days ago that one of the connected companies to TikTok, owned by ByteDance, has lists of words that they monitor for, and some of the lists are about Trump-directed words, Putin-directed prohibited words, TikTok Japanese comments suppressed words. I'm reading this from Forbes. TikTok audio-sensitive words in Tibet region. Special prohibited words for Xi and Peng. Peng is the tennis player, I think, who disappeared in China because she spoke against a state government official for rape, for estupro. E ela desapareceu. E nem joga mais tênis. Sensitive words in Douyin. There was one TikTok sensitive themed vocabulary. Theming strategies of Uyghur Han couples. That's the Uyghur and Han northern China populations of Muslims. Local life, Taiwan independence, Hong Kong. So there's a lot of words that are being on a list for the ByteDance company. What do they do with these lists? I don't know. But so the Americans are worried about that in the U.S. and we do business with China. But what about Brazil? Brazil does business with China. It will never be a positive thing if someone you're doing business with knows more information than you think they know. Se eles sabem mais informação que você está percebendo, eles sabem, você está desvantagem. You're at a disadvantage to negotiate if there is a disparidade de informação. Okay? It always helps to know what other people know and what they do not know when you are negotiating. So, that is all for today's episode of the English Language Learning Podcast. I hope you enjoyed and learned at least one new thing in English. Subscribe, inscrever, leave a comment, a like, a dislike. I appreciate the listen, and I hope that you listen to more.